Hi there, welcome. Today's topic is about how to climb stairs, the best way to climb stairs without killing your knees. So I'm Katie Lush, the creator of Lush Living, so thanks for joining me today. We had our Move Your DNA workshop here this weekend, which was really a lot of fun, and we discussed a lot about uphill and downhill climbing, and we ended up doing lots of work within the staircase of the studio. And so it gave me the idea that maybe other people probably need to learn how to climb stairs a little better. So anyways, we're just gonna dive right on in. So I'm gonna start with a little seated demonstration because it's probably gonna make a lot of sense if you see me sitting. So, believe it or not, stair climbing actually translates to some of the sitting choices that people make and how they actually get up out of a chair. So most people will walk their feet really close to their chair, use something like a armrest or like their desk, and go like this to stand up. That's very, very common, right? So it's not terrible, and quite honestly, climbing stairs in general is not bad for you. It's just if you do something with enough repetition and frequency, it could cause maybe some pain or wear and tear unnecessarily. So you have options. So this is an option. So most people go knees over toes at least to stand on up. That's really, really common. So if I do that enough times, it just puts a lot of stress on the fronts of my knees, a lot of work through my quads, and quite honestly, a lot of people don't have that much bend in their ankle, and so, things will happen, like they'll lift their heels or they'll turn their legs out. So just choices. So what happens if I brought my shins vertical, so my knees are directly over my heels, and stood up that way? Well, first of all, I can tell you just doing it, try it. It's very hard. So that kind of indicates that there might be some weakness or not a balance of doing that frequently enough. So when you put your knees directly over your heels, when you go to stand up, you kind of think about sliding, and I'm moving my chair physically, but sliding your bottom backward on whatever surface you're on to stand on up. You'll also notice that I'm having to hinge forward, which is just a natural result. There's really no way to stand up, without leaning your torso a little bit unless you are using props. So you lean forward, you load up your legs, you think of sliding your tush backward, and you work on standing up, keeping as vertical shin as you can create. So, taking that to stair climbing. If this were my step, which I'm going to create as my step, steps are shallow, so I don't fully expect my heel to be on, but for now I'm going to put my heel on it just for a demonstration. Most everybody climbs stairs like this, right? You can see that same knee over toe action. You can see kind of a snap in the knee, and I'll show you from a front vantage point what a lot of people do. You can see my hips are a little askew. Oh, and even more so, the knee ends up going cattywampus compared to the hip. That's how most people climb stairs that I see. So let's do what I just did with the chair thing, and let's see if I have the ability to stand up, keeping my knee directly over the heel. So the two things I have to do, which are the same as the chair, which is lean the torso forward and kind of back my bottom up, to stand up. So I can do it. It's hard. Takes some effort. I'll try it with the other side. I'll turn around. But same thing. It's possible that you can lean a little bit forward, keep that shin vertical, and then stand on up. But there's actually a missing ingredient to that. Actually, there's two missing ingredients. So I'll start with the easy one, which are calf raises or calf elevators. So very simply, if you just stand with your feet about hip bone distance apart, feet pointing relatively straight ahead, if you think of pushing down through the balls of the feet and your toes, you're gonna rise up, yeah? So you look like you're in high heels, and then you're gonna flex your feet to lower back down. And then Again, same thing. You push through the balls of the feet, through the toes to lift the heels up. And then I do it with my hands, even though you don't need to. So from a side vantage point, this is what it looks like. I'm pushing down through my toes, down through the balls of my feet. I'm gonna rise on up to as high of a heel as I can create. And I'm gonna flex my feet and control the descent back down. Yeah? So you push down through the toes, down through the balls of the feet, rising on up. When you're at the very top, make sure you're not clawing the floor. Most of the weight should be in the ball of the foot. And then slowly flex, and control the descent. So, if I bring my stair back, I've got my vertical shin, and I'm gonna deliberately try to do that same calf raise. Now look, it gets me almost halfway up. How wonderful is that? So now this front leg doesn't actually have to do all the work. My back leg can actually participate a little bit. So I'm gonna press through my back, ball of the foot, and toes, and I'm almost to a straight leg. Woohoo! Now if you have bent knees or a higher stair, obviously you're gonna be more bent, but at least it brings you half the way, right? So you push through the ball of the foot of the back leg. Now I only have to work a little bit. I can still lean my torso to stand up that tiny little extra bit. So it's basically from here to here. That's a really small amount of work. But like, how great is that? So now your back leg is getting some calf work. Like, who doesn't need more of that? And your front leg is not having to do that, right? That really excessive bend at the knee, which is, I think, what gets people in a lot of problems, right? So I'll do it on the other side. Maybe I'll do it from a front vantage point. So you can see, I'm pointing straight ahead. You can't quite tell, but my knee is directly over my heel. I'm gonna push through my back toes, and I just have a little bit of lift to go. Yeah, it's pretty small. I rise up, and then I just have a little boop, rest the way to go. So that would be two main ingredients: keeping a vertical shin and trying to push through the back foot, a little calf raise. The third ingredient, which is a little bit more complex, is a hip list. And I talk about this a lot, but you're gonna transfer your weight. I'm gonna go this way to one leg. You're gonna drive that base leg down, 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 down. I'm gonna feel my hip going down, 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 down. I'm gonna float, for me it's my right leg, off the floor. So my hips are deliberately askew. This leg actually has some clearance. It's got some swinging room. But this right cheek is working really hard on the side to create the clearance for that right leg to come through on purpose. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So the weight's a little bit backed up on your heels. That helps. You transfer a little weight to one leg. You drive that heel down, 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 down. You pull that right hip down, 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 down. It brings the other side up like a little elevator system. And then you've got a little clearance of that leg from the floor. And my hips are deliberately a little askew, right? Not because my waist is doing it, but because my hips are doing it. So you can see this best from a front vantage point. I'll pick my loose hip. So I am gonna do what most people do, which is pop the hip out to step up. So if I were to do a pelvic list, it would do the opposite. It would bring that hip down, and it would actually bring this side up a little bit. So complicated, but I'm gonna rise up on my back toes, and I'm gonna almost think pelvic list, like I'm gonna put some weight down into this front leg, so I'm not gonna let my hip pop out. I'm gonna use a little bit of this work on my outer glute, and stand that 2 or 3 inches up. So from a side vantage point, you might be able to see a little bit more. I'm gonna rise up on my back toes. I'm gonna use this outer cheek to not, swing my hip out to the side, but it's gonna stay stacked in front of the heel or right behind the heel to stand on up. That's gonna be the hardest element, I think, to incorporate in stair climbing. But in my opinion, that's gonna salvage your knees the most, because a lot of times when people swing their hip out, this knee then crosses over, puts a lot of stress on the medial, the inside of the knee. And so that's what a lot of people complain about, right? So I'm just gonna talk about upstairs climbing, not downstairs. We'll talk about that next week. But things to think about: vertical shins when you step up onto the stair. My little hint for this is that I sometimes have to take 2 stairs at a time because it's actually easier to get a vertical shin when you've got a little bit of height. If you have very shallow, short steps, it's actually quite hard because your feet have to be so close together. It's very difficult to get a vertical shin that way. Possible, but hard. But if you take 2 stairs at a time, it's a heck of a lot easier. You're gonna have to lean forward. You're gonna do a little calf raise or calf elevator in the back. You're gonna think a little hip list to stand on up. And that's how you're gonna practice climbing stairs. You can push and accelerate. How wonderful is that? So now you're not trudging your way up the staircase, but you can see there's like a little bit of lightness, a little acceleration, and that's gonna make it that much easier. So, like I already gave away, next week we're gonna talk about downstairs walking because it actually has like a little bit of a different skill set. But try that because I really do think people get more pain on the way. Well, actually, I take that back. People get pain in both directions. But try that. Try some upstairs climbing. Give yourself a week to get used to it. You're going to have to slow down. I think that that's like the biggest takeaway is that when you're thinking of these 3 things happening, you're not just going to fly up your staircase. You're going to have to slow down. So you're going to start with just vertical shins. Practice doing that for a while. Then you're gonna layer on the calf elevator, pushing, or the calf raise, pushing through the back foot. And then you're gonna layer on that hip list of keeping the hip kind of in check, not swung out to the side, but underneath you. So try that, just change about 10% at a time. Try not to go for like a whole, change. If you climb a lot of stairs during the day, have lots of floors, I understand it's nearly impossible to think about this and slow down because you have to race upstairs to turn off the tub because it's about to overflow. Right? Fly up the staircase any way you can. But if you have time, think about this and it will save your knees. All right, well, I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. But hopefully this helped you out. All right, I will see you next week. Oh, and if you need any more information, you can find me on my website at katylush.com, KATYLUSH.com. You can find me on Instagram at @KatyLush, spelled the same way, and obviously this is me on Facebook. Hope that helps. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a good week.